So can we start now, Shaira? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to all. Welcome again, okay, to our CG A.D.A.B series. And then this is actually the fourth series. I'm Norzie Baharum from UiTM Pahang, Academy of English Studies once again, okay, this time to be the moderator in English, inshallah, trying to be, okay, a good moderator as good as possible, actually. Okay, and then we have our guest speaker here. I do not want to take your time, actually, because we only have around 45 minutes, yeah, per session, each session. So let us, okay, talk straight about the speaker today. So here we have Professor Dr. Hajah Aziah, alias Professor Bersara, ya, Prof, okay, Professor Bersara with Fellow Academy, Professor Malaysia. So Dr. Aziah, alias, was an honorary professor, okay, of teaching and learning at University Technology Mara, UiTM, and then she actually had been with us, okay, for around 33 to 34 years, okay, working with UiTM, okay, and then she was formerly the UiTM Director of Academic Development from 2014 to 2021, quite recently, actually, 2021, Director of E-Learning from 2012 to 2014, the Deputy Dean, Academic of UiTM, Faculty of Education and Instructional Designer at the University's Distance Learning Center. Just in case the viewers, okay, might want to know more about the educational background of our speaker today, she has master's degree in physics and a bachelor degree in the same field from Indiana University. And then she earned a graduate certificate in ODL from University of Southern Queensland, Australia. Okay, the right person for us, okay, to be talking about ODL and everything, technology and everything in terms of education. Okay, and then she has, okay, her doctor degree in the field of instructional technology. And then I'm quite impressed, actually, looking at the achievement, okay, of Prof, because, okay, from this study, it leads to her winning a few awards, actually, yeah, including Best IUM PhD Education Student Award, Dissertation Award from the Malaysian Educational Technology Association, and Academic Excellence Award, okay, from COSMA, Malaysia. So Dr. Aziah now is actually a fellow of Malaysian Academy of Professors. She is currently involved in a UNESCO Bootcamp for Learning Design and Education for Sustainable Development, okay, ESD. So these are among the background. Should anything, okay, that you need to ask, okay, from our speaker today, you can just leave the comment in the comment section of the YouTube. We will try to answer the question, okay, the best possible. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Prof, can we start now?
Yeah, sure, doctor.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now my first question. I always ask this, actually, Prof. I always ask this because I was one of those, like, asking questions when I was, how to say, yeah, approached by Dr. Hafizah, actually, to be part of this team. Okay, some people might think that A.D.A.B, the model, yeah, is easily applicable to those with education degree like you, for example. You were from education, yeah, okay, you had that education background. Okay, so what is your response, Prof? Okay, those people who think that A.D.A.B is only applicable, okay, and then easy to be applied only for those, okay, from education background.
No, thank you, Dr. Norzie. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you for having me here. You know, I'm basically retired, like you said. I'm not worried about my ATP anymore. And I must take this opportunity to congratulate the A.D.A.B collaborative group for your passion and your work, because it's not easy to attract people to dwell on something like A.D.A.B and the A.D.A.B model, right? So let me answer the question, maybe more derived from my experience. That's why we are using the words, the phrase lessons from the field, right? So A.D.A.B, we have two things here. One is A.D.A.B in terms of the concept and philosophy, and the other one is the A.D model in learning design, which is based on the A.D.A.B model. So this session is more on the A.D.A.B model. So is this model more or easily applicable to those with education degree, education background? Maybe in formulating or building the model, we require some education background. But we are all lecturers. So better still, we are educators, and we need not be in the faculty of education or to have education background to be good lecturers, right? So when I was in HEA, when we ran SUFO scores, or if you remember the ODL teaching award, the winners were not all from education. They were from the applied sciences, health science lecturers, business, law, and so on. So we are not expecting lecturers to have a really deep understanding on the concept of A.D.A.B. In time, you may, but for now, as lecturers, we want and we need to deliver. So the A.D.A.B model is a simple model to help one design and deliver, just like many other instructional design models. Just like our teachers, when they were teaching us, they start with induction, they provide the content, they assess. It's just that we want lecturers to do a little bit more than just, Assalamualaikum, we are going to continue with Newton's law today. Please open your survey text to page 45 and or pay attention to my slide. We want you to do more than that. We want the students to feel, how do I say this? Students at the end of your class, they will say like, oh my, I learned a lot. I can see how these things fit and I can do this. I cannot wait for Dr. Nozie's next class. That feeling of accomplishment, satisfaction, they are motivated and they're looking forward to learn more. You don't need an education degree to help students to do that. I hope I'm answering your question. Basically, I don't think we need one.
Okay. So basically, I think it's not right to say that, okay, we need to have education background, yeah, for us to be able to successfully implement this model to understand all this, yeah?
Yes, no, we are applying, right? But of course, maybe some of us will get more interested. Then we start studying the theories or maybe the whatever behind it. But for now, to apply it is actually some of us are already doing it. We're just not framing it as the A.D.A.B.
Has been there actually in our system. Actually, it has been there in our system of teaching. Okay, it's just that we don't realize that we have been doing it actually.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, so I guess, okay, yeah, we, the people, okay, who do not have any background in education, we need not to worry. We need to worry less actually, yeah, with regards to having all this in order to successfully implement, yeah, the model. This model is actually, yeah, A.D.A.B model. Okay, now my second question is this. You have been talking about the need to have one comprehensive, workable teaching model. We have Assure, we have this, we compare this and that. Okay, we have one model, okay, and then second model, third model. Okay, and then institutionally speaking, yeah, in terms of our institution, UiTM. Now that we are moving towards A.D.A.B, implementation, we are trying to embed this, okay, yeah, in our lesson plan and whatnot. Once again, Prof, can you remind us, the importance, the necessity of having this kind of model? And now it is A.D.A.B, okay.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I did not start with education. I was a physics lecturer. Okay, anyway, I was in UiTM for 34 years, like you said, Dr. Norzie just now, right? And I taught engineering students, education students, diploma students, degree students, master students. I had PhD students. Age-wise, I taught after SPM students, almost retiring teachers, at that age. So the one thing that I observed, and that keeps most of us, including you, I think, is that keep us challenged, is that the attributes of students change over the years. We are not going to dwell on that. The way they think is different and the environment has changed tremendously. So the way they respond is also different. And we are living in a world, how do I say it? A world that's sprinting, rushing. The cungak-cungak kita, knowledge is doubling. So many new things to know, so many new things to learn, so many decisions to make. What I know about coffee 10 years ago, I think has actually changed once or twice over the 10 years, but I still like coffee. So, when years back, when we brought students to campus, put them safely on campus for 3 to 4 years, and then they left for the working world. It worked because nothing much changed. Not really say nothing much changed, but it worked for them. But now the industries move so fast, right? The workplace is so dynamic. Students once told me, dia cerita pada saya, pertama kali saya pergi kerja, saya tak pandai guna mesin tu sebab sangat jauh berbeza dengan apa yang ada di kampus. So what are we to do? Do we change our apparatus and our machines in the labs every year? No, we can't, right? And so what do? We need to get students who are responsive, who will take action. So plus the fact that our students are bombarded by technology, social media, and situations that warrant, a high degree of awareness, self-awareness, mindfulness, like I said, responsive and responsible for oneself and his or her action. Now with ChatGPT, ChatGPT and Midjourney lah, someone can actually create an image of you eating during Ramadan and put it on the internet and have it viral and make fun of you. You can do this, and it's not easy to differentiate the true and the fake one, right? So we need ethics, we need integrity, we need values, we need strong principles to go along. That's why we need the A.D.A.B model, because it will help us, insyaAllah, to instill among our students this proper place of things. We always talk about proper place. Saya sebagai pelajar, Puan sebagai pensyarah, saya sebagai ahli komuniti, my neighbor and so on. So the essence of the A.D.A.B model is connectedness, keterhubungan. So now more so, after the pandemic, we realize that we need to connect students to themselves, to other people, human beings, to the environment, the flora, the fauna, to the business world, to the industry, to the community they are in, and of course to the creator. So that's why we really need this A.D.A.B model now, inshallah. And even though we've been talking about it for a long time, the pandemic has taught us that we need this.
Okay. It's true, Prof. Because we had issues like, for example, PKP, we could not control actually. We just could not tell whether the essay submitted to me, for example, I'm teaching English, so whether it was original or not, for example, because they could always actually copy paste somewhere. Of course, we can check later, of course, but the day of the submission itself, we just cannot tell. So of course, we need some kind of guidelines, some kind of a reminder that even though the lecturers are not seeing this, at least if you are feeling connected, to the God above, you know that this is wrong, and then this is not to be done. This is not to be done. Actually, cannot be done. Actually, to one thing. And another thing is, I always remind my students that being a Muslim, or even non-Muslim, this is applicable to all our friends. Actually, Muslim or non-Muslims, right? We still need to be respectful of our environment and everything. Once they become an engineer, for example, they know how to respect the nature, for example. Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
Connectedness, right? The idea of connectedness, Prof?
Connectedness. Before I forget, Dr. Norzie, when we built this model, we get experts to look at it, and some of the experts were not Muslims. And they agree, they concur on the model because they agree that this is something that we should have for our Malaysian higher education students. So it's not necessary you have to be a Muslim, then only you can apply the A.D.A.B model.
A.D.A.B is actually a universal idea. Of course, A.D.A.B is actually, the word is Arabic, of course, but one thing Arabic doesn't mean that it's only for Muslims, right? It's all for us actually. Yes. Southeast Asian countries like Dr. Rashad said, in our last meeting, saying that actually for us, Southeast Asian countries, we are countries with God. We're not godless. So this idea is actually very applicable and of course very suitable for our nature being here in the Southeast Asian, Asian countries. We are nations with God, we are God-minded actually, Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. Okay, so that shows that it's very necessary for us, with all the challenges that we have actually, especially during these online things and everything. Okay, now we are moving to my next question here, Prof.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so for us newbies, I'm still new. I would say I'm still new, even though I have been with the team, okay, for 4 semesters already. I would still call myself, okay, a newbie. Some of the things I have actually started doing, and then it's the same with my other friends actually. So what could be the easiest kickstart for the model, okay, for newbies, okay, for any, for people, okay, who are new to this?
Okay, I understand. For people who are not used to having a proper model to deliver, you may think that it is, oh no, apa HCA coming up with something like this, and the CG A.D.A.B is pushing us, right? But it's not that difficult, because the most importantly is to understand the A, D, A, and B, right? So I would say the number one advice is for lecturers, which I know you're doing that now, is to really understand the outcomes to be achieved and then align it with A.D.A.B, right? So you have your teaching assignments, a new course, new batch of students, for example. So then you have to ask the question, how does this course actually fits in the program? MPU lecturers teaching falsafah dan isu semasa to food technology students. Okay, you have to ask, how do I convince the students that this course is actually worthwhile, that it means something, that it contributes to you, to the student. So then you have to understand the learning outcome for that student, the holistic graduan. See, if you're thinking that tak apalah ni elective je, so because they are food technology student, they only learn food technology, then you are into trouble lah. Okay, so you understand that. And of course, for example, sometimes when you look at the student, you also look at who they are. I just teringat satu cerita sebenarnya. There was once when I was in the deputy dean of Akademik, and I got a case where this student, she had cleft palate. Cleft palate, you are a language lecturer kan, Dr. Norzie, but this is not about her language class. So the lecturer came in, knew that she had problems speaking, or she can speak but it's not clear, you cannot discern what she's talking. And she had one of the assessment as she had a lot of presentation for the student, and she made the students went through the presentation. So first time she presented, the class laughed at her. So the second time she felt very down. So I got a call from a friend who did some research on cleft palate and told me. So actually she could have changed the way for the students to present, because what is the outcome? Is she supposed to be to communicate, presenting orally well or whatever? Is it there? If it's not there, then you could have changed the way you get to assess the student. So sadly, the students were frustrated. Of course, she was sad. She went back to I will mention the state and said, tak apalah, saya kerja dekat supermarket lah. Agaknya itu je lah yang saya boleh buat. So it was so sad. So the A.D.A.B model, actually with the A.D.A.B model, you cannot be doing that, because you do the A part, the analysis part. So you see, when we did this, we had that 7-step I letak kat belakang tu, because this thing is very important, the 7-step. Even though it's not a sequential, it is iterative. You can start number 5 first if you want, and each step and can be combined with another one in one task. So this one is something that well, as you said, newbies can look at and go for, the things that you are already doing. The one that I said, you're actually doing it, but actually you're not framing it into A.D.A.B. And you have to understand that do the simplest one, because there are varying levels to each step. See, so do the most doable. Let's take the first one, situate. Situate ni is part of the analysis. So we do some analysis, like I said, for example, in my case, when I was teaching engineering, I look at them, this is a civil engineering group, and I'm teaching physics to first year engineering. And I know some of the students did not take physics for SPM, for example, right? So, and then you go to class, you are doing this situate thing today, so you are asked, Assalamualaikum, how are you today? Do you remember what we did last week? That is situating lah, yeah? The simplest. But you can extend a bit. I said, Assalamualaikum, how are you today? Afrika, are you from Johor, right? So how's the flood at your hometown, for example, right? And then she will say, oh, teruk lah, this. Then you can continue a bit. It only takes a few minutes. You think the authority is doing something or doing something that they should be doing? And she will say something, and I said, what about the floodgate? So what are we doing here? We are reminding them that they are civil engineering students and their field is very much related to the nation's crisis at that point. So you see, so I think perhaps the easiest is to bring in current events. This is my advice. Familiar happenings to the classroom to keep them in touch with the world, through short intros, questions, simple question, anecdotes, stories, application, and then problem to solve that it will be higher, and cases and so on. So I used to have a friend. She taught calculus now. She was teaching differentiation, change and differentiation, dy dx lah, d squared y d squared dx squared lah, partial differentiation, that kind of thing. And I remembered her going into class one day and putting on the board the simpulan bahasa, peribahasa. Sesekali air bah, sekali pantai berubah. So what was she doing at that time? Because too long time ago. And nowadays, I don't know whether students understood that.
But familiar with that or not, Ayah?
But what was she doing is putting what she's teaching into context through some cultural thing lah. Yeah, I mean the language thing. So we can do that. That's very easy. So the war, for example, Russia and Ukraine, for example, I'm sure the business lecturers are using it to talk about supply chain and so on. So I would say do that first, bring in the familiar things, the latest knowledge. As you go further, you probably will find other things that you can bring in. And in my case, for example, I used to connect quantum physics, right? Theories of uncertainties to qadar and qadar. So it sounds a little bit higher in terms of level, but I was connecting the students to the creators. So I did that. And of course, when junior and senior lecturers, if they want to do this, they have to be informed. You cannot not know about what's happening outside and trying to do this. You need to know what's going on. But you don't have a problem with that because what? Everything di hujung jari kan? Swipe. Chat GPT ada, Google Bard ada now. Kalau orang yang ada iPhone tu guna Siri saja boleh tekan, Siri, please tell me what is the recent discoveries in carbon, for example.
Here's what I found.
See? Siri told me. I get a 2023 article on the discovery of carbon. So you can easily bring that to the class. You can bring your research to class. So we need to make sure all these things are woven into the delivery. Tak susah kan actually. Tapi bila built in belief tu, the B tu, people will say, I'm not an ustaz or ustazah, I don't think I can do this belief thing. But we must note that A.D.A.B model is talking about conviction, strong conviction. So the student must believe in his ability to comprehend, to complete the course. He must be able to discern right from wrong, to espouse values, for example, and to be responsible engineers or scientists or business executives. So think of it like that. Don't think of it as saya nak kena baca ayat ni, nak kena bawa pergi kelas lah sebab saya nak instill adab. That's not the only way to do it. I'm not a religious person pun.
True. Okay, that could be one of the hindrance. Okay, perhaps that these people think that I need to memorize certain Quranic verses, certain hadiths, for example. Okay, but actually no, because it's a universal idea that we have to be good to teachers, we have to be good to the cats, to the dogs, to the animals. Okay, of course, you have to be good to your creator and everything. Yeah, true, Prof. Okay, we do not have to be an ustazah and we start from ACIS to be talking about this. Actually, it's our responsibility, right, being human, to remind each other of the good things, right, that we need to do. Okay, whatever it is, we need to start small and simple, right?
Yes,
Prof?
yes. We can really do that, actually. Yeah.
And then, of course, okay, being a lecturer, we need to be few steps ahead of our student. We need to be, okay, always be
Yes.
updated. Yeah, we need to do more, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Cannot afford to be left behind by our students, actually.
Exactly. You need to be one step ahead. Right. Otherwise, you bercerita in kelas, student kata, ini cerita bila ni? Kita malah tahu lama dah. You don't want to do that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's true, it's true. Okay, thank you. Now, my next question is actually more related to your experience that you have developed, okay, this model, you have been working, okay, for this model with your friends, your own team, and then you have refined this for years, been using the model actually for years. You were, okay, with us in UiTM for around 33 to 34 years. Yeah, so can you share with us your experience with regards to the application of A.D.A.B model? Good and bad, okay, whatever.
Okay. Actually, it wasn't A.D.A.B before, right? Actually, the use of A.D.A.B was coined by, we use A.D.A.B, A.D.A.B without the full stop. A.D.A.B was coined by the Vice Chancellor, Dato', right? Because we do not want to confuse people with the two A.D.A.B thing, right? And just to backtrack a thing, I mean, the model started in bits and pieces lah. Just to backtrack a bit lah, when I was young, cerita lama sikit lah ya. My father used to do this in the late afternoon, lepas asar and so on. He would drive us through the villages next to where we live, you know, that kind of thing. And in the process, he would come up with questions like, believe me, this is what my father would do. You know, why are the trees bending towards the road, you know, or why do you think the cloud over there is a little bit heavier? And he would talk about plants needing sunlight and that kind of thing. And he's not a science teacher. Oh, sorry. Okay. And sometimes he would direct us to the houses of the poor people, the less fortunate, and would show her you know, how the houses are rumah condong and maybe no rooms at all, that kind of thing. So it affected me a lot because I think I was learning through all this afternoon drive. And so I did that to my daughters, actually. I have a daughter in School of Engineering, go ask her. Actually, she learned about Logamaya or Mirage, if you know, and total internal reflection while we were traveling on a hot day. So I used that opportunity to talk to her about things like that. So what we are doing is actually connecting our students, connecting the children, the students to, again, the word connecting to the environment and to including the people. So when the model came into form in 2021, so it was built upon experience, experiment apart from the theories lah. So in the School of Engineering, again, back in the 1990s, and then I crossed over to the Faculty of Education, right? So we had this group, we call ourselves Kumpulan Pendidikan JSK. We were teaching engineering students, and Dato' VC was one of the active members because we were a group who were intrigued by delivery. How best to provide content and engage. So we read, we discussed, and we were not education lecturers then. Only after my PhD, I developed the 7 guiding principles of meaningful learning, from which I extracted the elements to develop the A.D.A.B model. So from my experience, I would say that, you know, we have done a lot, but most of us actually, we do the deliver thing. And the second A, the assess thing. But some of us may not do the first A, the analysis, or the D as in design. So like I said, who are these people? Where is the class? Is it level 7? What about the lifts over there? What mode am I using? What time is the class? That's very important. 8:30, different approach. 4:30 to 6:30, different approach. You see, with the master student, I know we were working with adults, most have families, kids, and some traveled from Seremban to Shah Alam. One actually traveled from Greek to Shah Alam. Another one traveled from Miri to Shah Alam. So we had to take this moment to analyze, to pause and think, how do we do this? So we tend to incorporate many forms of assistance, right? support lah, extra course material, extra tasks, just in case they miss class, so we put up our notes. That was before things were ala compulsory. We were already doing that because we need to, help the student, and we also have established connection between the students so that they can help each other, because some of them sometimes came in halfway class baru tiba, that kind of thing. And because they are mostly master students who are matured students, the way we address them would be slightly different. You have to take time to think about that. You jangan marah-marah dia orang. Don't ask them to stand on the chair, that kind of thing. You don't do that. But not to say we did not establish a respectful learning environment for the younger students as well. But we have to be very careful with, matured working adults. So in my case, as in many of us, we normally get different groups, right? Every semester, I sometimes teach TESOL, visual arts. I taught TESOL, visual arts students, science education. So when you're teaching TESOL, they are better at reflecting, which is point number 6, through writing, right? They can be given journals to write, for example, or you ask them to write a letter to the Tok Penghulu when you incorporate community concerns in the subject, for example. But with visual art students, they are good at illustrating, at animation. So then you will have to incorporate tasks of that sort, And some people will worry like, apa pula tukar-tukar, nanti assessment. No, there are ways of doing it in such a way that you will not sacrifice the learning outcome. Okay, so for students learning instructional technology, I ran technology checklists. I gauge how good they were, in Office application, Microsoft Word lah, Excel lah, emails, UFuture. So years ago, students basically did not know Excel. But in recent times, you find a number of them who are very good at Excel. So what you do, you design the lesson with the good ones to lead. So you establish cooperation. You give responsibility to this one, and you give voice actually to the students. So you see, you don't have a class yang everybody looking at you explaining all the formulas in Excel, doing the same thing. You're already differentiating some of the things when in terms of the instruction that you give to the student. So that's what I did actually. But then when said ada problem tak, ya betul. The implementation of A.D.A.B model is not 100% foolproof lah. Students may immediately like it. Some may find the task difficult. Some may kata apa benda lah dia ni buat, right? Some, when especially in the 2012, 2013 era, students don't go online. They didn't go online. When you ask them to respond, some of them did not do it. You see, but we went through the years and we learned all these things. Inshallah, things are better now. We can really use the situate, digest, synthesize, create, connect, reflect, value and extend thing to make our delivery orang kata lebih holistic lah, kind of thing, right? So like for example, I have a lecturer in UIA. My experience with this lecturer, you're also a UIA student right at the moment, Dr. Norzie. I don't think he's there anymore, but he was teaching us teaching philosophy. He was wonderful at the first one, situating. When he came into class, he would greet us, talk a bit about what's happening, and then he would say, okay, can I have questions from you? He didn't ask, I have a question for you. Can I have questions from you, from what you have learned so far, or anything at all? So the first time he did that, we were taken aback. Alamak, ada yang tak baca pun. Apa benda kita buat last week, right? You didn't remember what we did last week. And then he would say, okay, I will wait. If you don't ask me the questions, I will not start the class. So you see, after that, every class, we are well aware of what we have learned last week and what we are going to learn the next week. So the situate thing he did very well, I would say. And I learned from that. I like that. And when I went into Faculty of Education, I was once asked to teach philosophy of science. Very daunting. This is for the second one, digest. Pretty daunting to get students to understand tabula rasa, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am, talking about Descartes and so on. These were young science education students. If I were you to use sentences and place them on PowerPoint slides, I'm sure they would never be able to digest or synthesize what I have taught. So I started using pictures and got students to involve in searching for pictures that warrant discussion about existence and being. It's interesting. Students can really do that. So they got very good pictures, and we were discussing, giving our ideas about the pictures that they showed. Then only I move on to the philosophers of science, the foundation lah, the implication of science, and so on, hypothesis lah, apa-apa, because the process of thinking was established earlier. So you see, we just find ways to ensure students can understand and give them the kaedah, the time to digest, macam tu, right? So in terms of creating, in my experience, students had no problem creating. Even in the 1990s, my civil engineering student, there was one group who built a jambatan gantung, hanging bridge, right? And they tried their best lah to explain the forces, but tak apalah, it was not perfect. But when we did the discussion, I brought in the Tacoma Bridge. Remember, if you know Tacoma Bridge, the one that actually dia macam vibrate and then we reached the topic on resonance and natural frequency, something like that. So what I did was creating, while the students were creating something, I also connect them to historical event and reminded them how important civil engineers are. There's something like that. Okay, so actually, I find it very exciting to go to class and prepare all these things for class. And when it comes to research methodology, in the year 2009 and so on, we were not we don't have social media as we do today lah. So, but I know my students will have to be connected to schools. Otherwise, they have no idea how schools are, and they are supposed to be teachers then. So what I did was to use emails to connect the whole class to 4 teachers. So we had this correspondence by email, and was kind of a hassle lah jawab, and the students looking at the reply from the teachers. But in the end, the students were able to extract the the issues in school, as discussed with the teachers, as their research problem. You see, it doesn't have to be sophisticated. See, and when I teach technology, I would say it was teaching instruction technology was a bliss lah. There were so many tools to support the step, from analysis of students' technology skill, gauging their well-being, help them digest using concept mapping, brainstorming, quizzing, creating using comics, videos, and they can easily reflect on Padlets lah, Twitters lah, Flipgrid, and so on. So in fact, teaching during the pandemic, I'm sure some agree with me, but to me it was exhilarating because I was kept challenged how to ensure the students to learn, and I'm teaching technology to actually enjoy the online course, right? And the network that we established as we move into this era, is an eye opener actually, because it's easier to connect students to experts and practitioners outside. So we brought in excellent teachers, award winners, top 100 educators coming in to talk and discuss with the students online. Students found it inspiring. So we had global learning, that kind of thing, collaborative learning, and students learned a lot from teachers from different backgrounds in different locations and how they were using technology to teach. So I would say probably in my case, to get students to value what they are learning and extend it, it's a little bit difficult because I was basically teaching first year and first semester students throughout my life, you know, extend maybe best demonstrated through projects in the community or industry, sulam, service learning kind of thing. But then extend can also mean students helping one another. So I support students building community of learning. This is especially workable with master student. And I remember one time when I sat in the committee for Anugerah Graduan Terbaik, we found students who actually extend their knowledge and skills during the semester break. They were teaching, this girl, she was teaching kampung kids mathematics. Budak tepi sawah dia mengajar. So I think that is splendid. We need more students like that. You know, we cannot have just one student who actually won the anugerah doing it. All our students should be able to do that, you know, to value what they know and actually extend it through simple ways. Oh, panjang pula saya bercakap, sorry.
Giving back to the community, Prof, yeah? Connecting to the community ourselves with anything that we have, we give back.
Even your neighbors, right? Your neighbors' children, you can actually do that because generally the knowledge that they gain can be orang kata tested, and you know better. You are no more confident of what you know. I would say so lah. So all the 7 steps, I basically gone through all of them, all of that during my teaching in UiTM, and I think anybody can do it, inshallah. Of course, now we have a lot of policies supporting all the 7 steps. And we have Dr. Zainuddin who promised to help us with that.
Sure. Okay, Prof, we have one question asking. Okay, basically we are the academics. Okay, the people who are teaching COCO, how do they implement this model, co-curriculum, watania, all these clubs and societies and everything?
Oh, actually, they are doing the last part. 3 tu, they should be doing that very well because they don't have much content theories to teach, right? But the reflecting part, the connecting part, and then to extend, that would be something that they can do. You know, macam like I would say, I think there's sulam, yang sulam as well, right? And even simple ones like how do I say, what is that, public speaking, for example. Okay, you can bring in the latest issue as part of the content for them to debate and to use that skill, you know, in public speaking. It's doable, inshallah, doctor. Maybe the lecturer will have to be creative lah sikit. Right. We have to be creative. If we want the students to be creative, we have to be critical. If you want our students to be critical, can you imagine you not being critical, going to class and expecting the students to be critical? It will not happen because we are the model of this A.D.A.B that the students are looking at.
So basically, it's applicable to anyone, okay, as long as you feel like, okay, you want to learn something new. Say, this model is new to us, okay, and then we have the willingness to learn, and then it should be okay, right? As educators, yes, we have to have that willingness to learn, actually. Willingness, okay, to try something new, as long as it is good for us, and it should be okay. Yeah. Okay, I believe, Prof, okay, you have actually covered, okay, the impacts. Okay, my question number 6, one thing to ask, actually, the impacts to students, impact to lecturers. You have actually covered that, actually, yeah, and
actually, don't worry. I like that question, you know, the impact on especially on the lecturer lah, you know, because you mentioned that as well just now, willingness to learn. So as the lecturer, of course, we have not measured the impact yet, but we are observing this. The lecturers, we keep on learning because we know we have to be informed, we become more informed. We now see a bigger scope of the field, right? So our research can be brought into the classroom. Talk about our research to the student. Selama ni you put in on paper, article, get cited, but your students don't know about your research. Do it, you know, and our role in making the subject matter more meaningful. So lecturers, I believe people yang guna A.D.A.B ni, kita akan jadi orang yang cintakan ilmu tu. So kita bercakap dengan ilmu dan fakta dan kita menjana ilmu, I would say so. So and I see lecturers now bringing peers from overseas to the session because their network is wider. So they're publishing with international colleagues. They learn from their industry peers because ni nak bercakap dengan student pasal industry, you need to have knowledge about the industry. So you learn from the industry peers, from your global colleagues and vice versa. So I would say that's what Education 5.0 is all about. It's about all of us learning at the same time, the student, the lecturers, the administrative staff, and so on. So the student, if we do this well, I think they will have a more meaningful experience lah. They don't just read text and PowerPoint slide. Betul tak? They become more resourceful, they apply their knowledge, they create, they are connected to many things, to a bigger realm, they see a bigger picture of their academic journey, hopefully. Yeah? And the one thing is they are more connected to you. Sukanya pergi kelas ini, you got to learn a lot of things. Students are basically, I've seen this, they are basically frustrated when the class is cancelled for the day. I've seen that, because they are so looking to go into class. So hopefully kita ada students yang when they return during the break, return home during the break or at the end of the program when they go out and into the community members will be saying, oh, Alhamdulillah, kita ada graduan UiTM dalam kalangan kita yang beradab, yang boleh diharap, yang berilmu, yang sentiasa membantu. All those can come out of this A.D.A.B model because we have been teaching them how to extend, how to connect, how to reflect, and so on. Yeah.
In fact, I can feel it as well. Okay, it makes me more organized in a way. Before this, I just threw things. Okay, yeah, on my, for example, I'm using Google Classroom. Everything is there. So now when we have the model, okay, at least I know, okay, what kind of activity, if I need to get something from YouTube, for example, okay, yeah, what is the issue that I can bring, okay, to my class, and then how do I connect this, okay, yeah, to any part of the A.D.A.B model, at least, okay, that is happening to me. I can see that actually, and then I'm really hoping that, okay, the other people would be more open, okay, yeah, to this, and then would be more willing to learn, okay, so that you can get all the benefit, the way I get the benefit actually from this model. Okay, Prof. I think we.
Dr. Norzie,
Yeah.
can I just add something? You mentioned that we were involved. I'm currently involved in that ESD, Education for Sustainability Development, and I compare our A.D.A.B model and ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. I find some common things, and we have somehow addressed some of the concepts and competencies because SDG, we talk about SDG all the time. Tengoklah SDG sana. So fikir SDG yang kita buat ni, apa ni kita embed ni efektif ke tidak. So SDG encompasses three aspects, right? Social, economic and environment. Okay, so the Education for Sustainable Development is based on these three concepts, three aspects. We put in another aspect, the creator. So I believe, insyaAllah, we cannot go wrong. Okay, insyaAllah.
The value is there, it's true.
It's more complete, insyaAllah. So over to you lah, Dr. Norzie. Sorry, banyak dah saya bebel dah penat pun.
For someone okay, who had been with us for 33 to 34 years, of course, 45 minutes, 1 hour is not enough for you, Prof. Actually, it's not enough. We are so sorry that we have to limit this to 45 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, next time maybe we can invite you. Okay.
It's
some other chat. This is the chat actually.
Betul. Some things are better short and sweet rather than
long. 2 hours and then it will be actually time-consuming for certain people. Okay, I believe there is no more question. Okay, I asked the questions already. So my team from A.D.A.B, do you have any question? Any more question from YouTube? I cannot see the questions. Just like last 2 weeks, I couldn't see. On my YouTube actually. If we don't have, it is as if we don't have any more questions. Prof, so next time, inshallah, we need to invite you, for some other knowledge sharing, I would say. Yeah, of course, we can learn a lot from you, to be someone that had been in the industry, teaching industry for 34 years. That is
4 years.
34 years, that is a long time actually. Yeah, 3 decades to more than Kan? Satu
But
tiga
I don't
dekat
feel
lah.
I don't feel the boredom or the stress. I love teaching. What to do? Suka. Sampai ke akhir pun I will wait for my class every Friday because it will end my week well. InsyaAllah.
So Prof, okay, one last word, okay, from you as far as model A.D.A.B is concerned for us.
Yeah, I think when we develop this, we're not thinking of, us, of course, the developers, because you're not going to get extra gaji tak naik, whatever pun the scale for this. We are doing this for our students, and that's what we are doing in UiTM pun, all of us, when we are here. So we are trying to make things simpler and kata more structured for you, but of course take the A.D.A.B model and maybe you can add more steps or you can refine it further, because it is a dynamic thing. Ilmu ni dia tak ada yang absolute, itu hanya daripada Allah kan. Jadi yang ini boleh dijadikan 5 step saja for you, for example, for your bidang in one case. So do something about it, but you have to start somewhere lah, so that we know that what we are doing in class is actually based on something that has been tested and that has been validated by experts, in the hope that we will have more meaningful experience for the students, and that when they go out of UiTM, they become this good person. Somebody kata, a person with warm heart, yang yang boleh contribute to the society and also to to the industry and so on. Itu I think benda tu kalau cakap banyak-banyak nanti dia jadi klise lah, tapi sebenarnya itulah yang kita nak buat. InsyaAllah, Doktor.
The presence is felt, kan, kewujudan kita tu dirasai.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yes.
warmness, okay, the presence is felt. Yeah. Okay.
Betul.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, for the nice sharing. Of course, this is very valuable. Okay, cannot be actually exchanged with anything, given the long experience of teaching that you have had actually. And then now you are with the Academy of Majlis Profesor and everything. So I believe, okay, next time we will, of course, okay, surely we will invite you once again. Okay, not once again, twice again, thrice again. Okay, more and more sessions with you. Okay, so that you can share, because I personally, I want to know more about the ESD, the project that you are currently doing. So maybe we can share in relation to A.D.A.B and everything. Thank you so much. Okay. And then for our viewers, okay, thank you as well, okay, for waiting for us. I am so sorry. I started rather abruptly, actually, not saying sorry for the technical problems that we face actually, that we started a bit late, 3:10 macam tu. Okay, we started a bit late because of the technical problem. And then stay tuned, okay, for other sessions that we will organize after this. Of course, okay, there will be more and more sessions like this, sharing sessions like this. And then should you have any questions, anything that you would like to know more about A.D.A.B, okay, and then the lessons from the fields, we are going to invite more people who have already been embedding this actually 4 years or just starting doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Prof.
Okay. Thank you
berpuasa,
to
selamat Hari Raya. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Norzie. Thank you, CIDL, Shaira.
Thank you for calling me doctor. Okay, again and again, even though I have not yet gotten my
memang
thank you so much.
You are a doctor lah, Doctor.
Okay,
thank you to the CG.
Thank you. Okay,
thank you to the CG as well, and thank you, Shaira.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you for all the viewers. Thank you so much. Okay, selamat berbuka. Assalamualaikum.
Selamat berbuka.
Yeah. Good evening. Okay.